Hey friends, I want to share something really special with you today from my sponsor Noble Gold, because without their help, I would not be able to make this content for you. Do you remember that moment you became aware of just how much you didn't know? I certainly remember mine, and once your eyes are open, it's impossible to keep them closed any longer. Noble Gold has created something remarkable to remember that moment, so I want to introduce you to the Q coin. A year of painstaking detail went into making this, not just because of the phenomenal design, not just because of the incredible symbolism on the coin, not just because of the sense of belonging it instills, but because it's a big secret hidden in plain sight. If you take a look at the coin, it's loaded with Q quotes, a lightning bolt, 17 references, and so much more. And take a look at the packaging that this coin comes in. It's truly a work of art. Whether you're new to the movement or you've been following for some time, you're going to want to add this to your collection. You can get yours today by going to www.greatawakeningcoin.com. And for this month, you can get a $5 discount if you buy 2 coins. Just use my name, RedPill78, in the discount box, and you'll get these 2 coins delivered to your doorstep. They're simply amazing. The choice will be yours. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. I want to thank everyone for joining me. Hope you're having a lovely day. We've got lots of news to go over today. Some information about Robert Mueller. He will be appearing before Congress, and I think it's going to spectacularly backfire on the Democrats. We've got some more information about E. Jean Carrol, the crazy cat lady who is obsessed with Donald Trump. Also, the Justice Department is suing Omarosa for ethics violations. She is facing some hefty fines. And finally, the FBI has made a move which is designed to protect our former president, because you may or may not know, he was involved in a scheme to steal a Senate seat many years ago, thanks to Rod Blagojevich, who is currently a federal inmate. All right, so right here, starting off the day, Robert Mueller agrees to testify publicly before joint Nadler and Schiff-led committees, and it's a hearing for July 17th. Can you believe it? Date is perfect. Former special counsel Robert Mueller will testify before open House committee hearings on July 17th following an issuance of a subpoena compelling his appearance. Representative Jerrold Nadler, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and Representative Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, announced Tuesday night. Now, there's an update here at the end. It says each committee will hear from Mueller separately on the same day, so it's back-to-back testimonies from Robert Mueller. I am pleased to announce the House Judiciary and House Intel will have special counsel Robert Mueller testify in open session on July 17th pursuant to a subpoena issued this evening. We look forward to having Mr. Mueller testify, as do all Americans. That's from Jerrold Nadler. Jerry. Here's an image of the press release, and it just states exactly what Jerry said in that quote above. Now, while Nadler may play it straight in his announcement, Schiff went on the attack with his announcement. Robert Mueller has agreed to testify before Congress pursuant to subpoena. Russia attacked our democracy to help Trump win. Trump welcomed and used that help. As Mueller said, that should concern every American, and now every American will get to hear directly from Mueller. Oh, Lord. And here is that press release right here. That was a tweet from Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff. Oxymoron, the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Committee. So today, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerrold Nadler and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff announced that Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III has agreed to testify pursuant to a subpoena before both of those committees. Now, in announcing the testimony, Nadler and Schiff released the following joint statement. Pursuant to subpoenas issued by the House Judiciary and House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence tonight, Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III has agreed to testify before both committees on July 17th in open sessions. Americans have demanded to hear directly from the special counsel so that they can understand what he and his team examined, uncovered, and determined about Russia's attack on our democracy, the Trump campaign's acceptance and use of that help, and President Trump and his associates' obstruction of the investigation into that attack. We look forward to hearing his testimony, as do all Americans. In a letter to Mueller accompanying each committee's subpoena, the chairman wrote, Dear Special Counsel Robert Mueller, attached, please find subpoenas from the House Judiciary Committee and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence to compel your testimony on July 17, 2019, Over the course of discussions about your appearance before Congress, we have consistently communicated our committee's intention to issue these subpoenas if necessary, and we now understand it is necessary to do so. We further understand that there are certain sensitivities associated with your open testimony. In particular, the Special Counsel's Office referred several criminal investigations to other offices at the Department of Justice, and certain matters are ongoing. Your office, moreover, admirably limited public comment while the Special Counsel's Office work was ongoing. We have also explained to you that you prefer for the Special Counsel's Office's written work to speak for itself. Nevertheless, the American public deserves to hear directly from you about your investigation and conclusions. We will work with you to address legitimate concerns about preserving the integrity of your work, but we expect that you will appear before our committees as scheduled. Sincerely, Schiff and Nadler. Now, here is an update here. Apparently, Schiff and Nadler spoke to CNN about the Mueller hearings, and Schiff said each committee will hear from Mueller separately on the 17th of July. So, double-decker. Let's go ahead and take a listen to these clips from Adam Schiff and Gerald Nadler.
Was this a friendly subpoena, as they call it, something in which the special counsel asked to be subpoenaed to come before your committee?
I don't think the special counsel's office considers it a friendly subpoena. He was and is deeply reluctant to come testify, but nonetheless, he has agreed to respect the subpoena. So we expect all of the members of our committee will have an opportunity to ask him questions.
What is it, for you, what is the most important, critical thing that you need to hear the special counsel say? He said he's not going to go beyond the four corners of the report. Can he actually reveal anything new that you don't already know?
Well, of course, there's no limitation on confining his testimony to the four corners of the report. That may be his desire, but Congress has questions that go beyond the report, and we have seen with the Attorney General, he is more than willing to make statements that go well beyond anything in the Mueller report, indeed, in his case, misrepresent the Mueller report. So we have any number of questions about the counterintelligence investigation and the role of the counterintelligence agents within his team, to questions about some of the prosecutorial decisions that were made. We have fact questions about some of the statements that are made in the report. So there are any number of issues that we wish to cover with him.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. All right, let's listen to what Jerry has to say about it.
But I think it's important the American people hear from him what he did find and what he didn't find.
How worried are you that he wants to do this so little that he's going to be non-responsive when he gets before you?
I think he'll answer the questions, and it's up to us to ask questions that'll elicit the information. And remember, he did a 2-year investigation. He found that the Russians attacked our election. He found that there were plenty of, I think, 170 contacts between the Russians and the people in the Trump campaign. He found that the Trump campaign welcomed the intervention of the Russians and the assistance of the Russians. He found plenty of obstruction of justice in the president trying to obstruct his investigation, and all of that has to be stated publicly.
One more quick thing.
Well, the Democrats want answers. They want to hear more about what Mueller found, all of these non-crimes that he investigated. There was no collusion, which is no crime. There was no obstruction because there was no crime to obstruct. And this is going to be a crapshoot for the Democrats. The Republicans are going to pick this up, and they're going to ask Mueller the questions that need to be answered. Now, Geraldo Rivera and Dan Bongino were on Sean Hannity, and they were talking about this, and he says the Democrats will rue the day they brought back Mueller. It's going to cost the Democrats, and it will be grievous. I completely agree with this. And former special counsel Robert Mueller has agreed to testify on the 17th, as we know, and Democrats are hoping that Mueller will give them the excuse to start the impeachment proceedings for President Trump for his non-collusion with Russia during the 2016 campaign. Now, the former presidential administration, as we know, spied on President Trump and then gave that deep state an attempted soft coup to remove him as president. And Democrats have just not given up on the fantasy yet. Now, Geraldo joined Sean Hannity last night to discuss this development, and like I said, he believes that Democrats will rue the day they ever decided to bring Mueller back in to testify. I think it's going to be the Republicans that get the win on this one. We've got a short clip. Let's go ahead and take a listen and hear what the panel had to say.
Carrol executives that were innocent to jail, that was overturned by the Fifth Circuit. And he also hired Hillary's attorney at the Clinton Foundation, and they were all Democrats. He couldn't find one Republican. How's Mueller going to answer that one? I don't think that's going to be very comfortable for Robert Mueller.
How is he going to answer How is he going to answer the question, how dare you ruin the lives of people like General Michael Flynn? How dare you, when you knew that there was no collusion with the Russians, you stuck with this thing, you made these people work themselves into perjury traps, you slammed them with these procedural offenses, you wrecked their lives, you distracted the American people. I think that the price that this testimony will cost the Democrats will be grievous to them. They will rue the day that Nadler and Schiff let their ambition get ahead of their common sense, their political sense, and drag this man back into the center stage of the American.
Well,
we have so many issues to deal with right now.
Now we know that Flynn talks to the deputy FBI director, McCabe, because FBI guys are coming to see him. He asked, do I need a lawyer? Oh, no, you don't need a lawyer. Okay. Then Comey's bragging in his way. Oh, I took full advantage of the chaos, something I'd never do in the Obama or Bush administrations. I sent my guys in there, to screw a 33-year veteran who served in combat, this country. And then there's more to it.
And do it in the White House. They did it in the White House. That's how obscene this was.
But they're bragging about setting him up.
Don't tell anybody what's going on. We're going to talk to you.
They knew everything he said and said, you don't need a lawyer. And the FBI still didn't think he lied to him, but he got bankrupt. They threatened his kid and his family. Oh, we'll take your son down with you. And he fell on the sword like any good father would do. Dan Bongino, I know you do it. Geraldo would do it. I'd do it.
Yeah, and Sean, even worse, when you look at Peter Strzok's texts from the day that Lindsey Graham asked Sally Yates and Jim Clapper about the unmasking of Flynn, Peter Strzok in his text to Lisa Page says, hey, this unmasking thing is the incorrect narrative. Sean, I ask you, what do you think he means by that? Is it possible there was a FISA on Flynn, too? I think that may be one of the next shoes to drop. Stay tuned for that one.
Well, wait a minute. It was leaked intelligence on Flynn. Raw leaked intelligence. They had what he said, and they told him no lawyer and bragged about setting him up. All right, I got to let you both.
Excuse me. You can bet the Republicans are going to be asking tough questions just like this. They're going to want to know why Mueller stacked the deck against Trump. They're going to want to know why a supposedly impartial third party was willing to work on behalf of the Democrats and the deep state apparatus. So, here we go. Mueller's coming up on the 17th, and that date spells doom for the Democrats. Now, some more Sean Hannity, because this is a big one. He opened the show last night by saying that the biggest shoe to drop may be coming tomorrow, which is today. Now, maybe by the time this video is put out, this will already happen, and you can bet if it is, I will be reporting on it later. Sean Hannity opened the show saying that that shoe might be dropping today. Here we go. He said the deep state's day of reckoning is coming. Let's take a listen.
Much more evidence we have not even begun to see yet. So much more information. The forthcoming Horowitz IG report on FISA abuse. Now the Durham review. Remember, he's going to interview Christopher Steele. We've talked about 6 separate buckets. We talked about exculpatory material that will be released. Gang of 8 material. The question is not if, it's just a matter of when. There is no stopping this at this point. I am told tonight the biggest shoe to drop may be coming tomorrow. What I know is more than I can say, but I'll be able to give you a sneak preview with John Sullivan. We'll have more on my opening monologue in just a minute. First.
Well. We all know Sean Hannity has excellent sources. So, let's keep our eyes out, guys. Today might be the day. All right, and a nice little tidbit here from Representative Doug Collins, one of the few honest people in Congress. This was sent over by my friend and fellow researcher Methods. He says, great to see the U.S. courts finally working with users to improve the PACER system. Court records should not be hidden behind a heavy paywall. I introduced the Electronic Court Records Reform Act earlier this year to address this issue in Congress. Well, what does this mean? If you guys have ever went to look for court documents, there's a place called PACER. It's from the U.S. government, and it provides them, but you have to pay. It's a couple cents per page, and that can get pretty expensive if you're talking about a case with a lot of documentation. But it looks like they are looking to reform the PACER system, and they're putting together a group of public individuals from a variety of sectors, including the media, academia, the legal sector, other government agencies, and just regular public people. So there's actually an application here. I'm going to be filling that out. I'm going to be applying to be a part of this because this would really help me out in my own research and in bringing these stories to you guys. So if you want to check this out and apply yourself, then you can go and check out the link, which will be in the pinned comment below this video. Now, Jim Jordan, of course, is out there speaking truth because that's what he does best. And today, he called out the former president's corrupt officials during a Hatch Act hearing, and he was defending Kellyanne Conway. Bless him. God bless Jim Jordan. Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, on Wednesday defended President Trump's counselor Kellyanne Conway during a Hatch Act hearing. Jordan called out the former president's corrupt officials who targeted conservatives for ruin and said the hit on Conway is outrageous, unprecedented, unfair, and just flat out wrong. In the former administration, Hilda Solis, Mr. Castro, and Josh Earnest were all found to violate the Hatch Act. OSC didn't recommend they be fired, and for some of those people, they didn't even issue a public report, Jim Jordan said, adding that Americans hate unfairness and they know when they see it. They also hate double standards. Jim Jordan ripped into the former administration's corrupt IRS official Lois Lerner as well for targeting political opponents. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that clip.
We'll yield to the distinguished ranking member.
Mr. Chairman, the report from the Office of the Special Counsel is outrageous, it's unprecedented, it's unfair, and it's just flat out wrong. We should be honest. The reason we're here today is Mr. Kerner got his feelings hurt. He told that to the White House counsel's office. He said he took great offense to Ms. Conway's response, and that's why he rushed the report and only gave the Ms. Conway 16 hours to respond. Mr. Kerner felt slighted. Ms. Conway didn't pay enough attention to him in his office, and you know why she didn't? Because the allegation is ridiculous. Let's be clear about the Hatch Act. Federal employee can't come to work and hand out partisan literature, can't come to work and hand out yard signs. Federal employee can't come to work and raise funds for a candidate or pressure subordinates to support a particular political party. But a senior advisor to the President of the United States can sure as heck go on cable news shows and answer questions. David Plouffe did it. David Axelrod did it. John Podesta, they all did it for President Obama. But now that it's a strong-willed Republican helping President Trump, can't have that. Can't have that. All of a sudden, nope, got to stop that. Mr. Kerner and the Office of Special Counsel felt slighted. They also felt pressured. Again, he said it. He told the White House counsel he felt pressured by the left-wing political organization that filed the complaint, same left-wing political organization that raises tons of money by attacking President Trump and his administration. They felt slighted, they felt pressured, so they were unfair. In the Obama administration, Hilda Solis, Mr. Castro, and Josh Earnest were all found to have violated the Hatch Act. OSC didn't recommend they be fired. For some of those people, didn't even issue a public report. Americans hate unfairness, and they know it when they see it. They also hate double standards. By the way, you know what else a federal employee can't do? You know what else they can't do? They can't target people for their political beliefs. Remember this just a few years ago when the IRS systematically targeted people because they had different political persuasion? Federal employees can't do what Lois Lerner and the IRS did when they targeted Tea Party groups. When they applied one standard to their ideological friends, but a different standard if you were conservative. And here's the irony. Office of Special Counsel seems to be doing the same thing to Ms. Conway. Democrat political group who filed the complaint, and the OSC, they don't like what Ms. Conway is doing. They don't like the fact she's conservative. But you know what? It's not even really that. It's not even really that. The IRS really didn't target Tea Party groups because they were conservative. You know why they targeted them? Because they were effective. And that's the same thing we see in play here. Ms. Conway is being targeted not just because she's a conservative, not just because she's in the Trump administration, but she's being targeted because she's good at what she does. And that's why this should not stand. And the idea that the Democrats are going to now subpoena her is just ridiculous. They're going to do it because she does her job so well. That's why we're here. And I hope in the next few hours that we can get the truth out about the Hatch Act and really expose the motives that drive this whole darn thing in the first place. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
The Office of the Special Counsel is clearly acting in a political manner here. Just as Jim Jordan said, a bunch of Democrats going after their Republican foes, the people they disagree with. And you know what? I am so sick of seeing this happen in Washington. I am so sick of the double standards. I am so sick of the different rules that the Democrats and the Republicans play by. And always on the Democratic side, it is dirty. Business as usual in Washington, D.C. It's high time that the Republicans start fighting back against this dirty business taking place in Washington. You know what? The reason they're upset is because they cannot stand against us on the merit of their arguments. There are no arguments that make sense on the Democratic side. Kellyanne Conway has done nothing more than any of her Democratic colleagues have done in administrations prior to hers and prior to President Trump's. Everything that Kellyanne Conway does is by the book. She is an honorable woman. She is a patriot, and she just has a better argument for everything that she says when she goes on these talking head shows on the cable news channels. This is the time for the Republicans to stand up, to fight for the rights of the American public, and to say no more when it comes to this dirty business in Washington. Always, it is the Democrats coming after the Republicans because they cannot make an argument on their own merit. They cannot say anything to overcome our arguments because we are the true party of the American people. And Jim Jordan, thank you for absolutely everything you've done for the American public and everything you will continue to do. All right, next, here is a really cool tweet from someone I follow on Twitter, Ann Opiner, popcorn included. This is an excerpt from a National Guard video that was released on June 24th. It says, "Nothing to see here except everything." And if you'll take a look at this still from the video, it's at 23 seconds. There's a soldier with the number 17 written on the side of his ear protectors on his helmet. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video real quick.
Historically, a Green Beret is someone who can break barriers and develop relationships.
I like the idea that they could be both kinetic and actually operate as a diplomatic influence across the region to support our national interests.
So a Special Forces soldier is typically somebody that's going to be a little bit older, they're a little bit more mature. They're able to adapt in many environments and being able to fit in where they need to, depending on what part of the world they're in or what job they're doing on that particular day.
The team environment is the most important thing because we're not individuals here. We all have specific jobs and responsibilities that we're all in charge of. No one's looking over our shoulder, making sure that, are you getting that done? We just know, hey, I trust the man on the left to my right. He's in charge of that and he'll get it done.
You're going to spend days with a 100-pound rucksack on. Then you're going to jump out of an airplane with that 100-pound rucksack. You're going to push yourself to limits that you never thought were possible. So you have to be mentally and physically prepared.
Are you mentally able to go somewhere else and take away the pain that you're enduring at that moment and then come back to reality and be able to operate in a very austere environment, under a lot of stress? And I think that's why SF guys are the best soldiers in the world, because they're able to do that.
It's not about our tools. It's not about our weapons. It is more at the core. The Green Beret that we wear on top of our head says more about us than we could ever say about ourselves.
Special Forces operators active. Did you guys see that? They slowed it down at the moment that he came on screen so that you could easily and verifiably see that there was a 17 clearly written on the side of his helmet. That is not a coincidence, my friends. This was a message, and it was specifically for us. Now, back to E. Jean Carroll, the woman who made a claim about President Trump. Well, turns out that the crackpot Trump accuser story was likely stolen from an episode of Law and Order, having to do with an RAPE fantasy in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. You can't even write this, except they already did. They wrote it on Law and Order. CNN's Anderson Cooper on Monday interviewed E. Jean Carroll, a woman who alleged Donald Trump took advantage of her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room back in the 1990s. How awkward. Well, Bergdorf Goodman, as we all know, is a very high-end department store packed with attentive salespeople and security, which makes Carroll's claims even more preposterous. And Anderson Cooper was left speechless and stuttering and decided to cut to commercial break after E. Jean Carroll called rape sexy. I think most people think of rape as being sexy, Carroll said. They think of the fantasies. Well, this woman is not well, and it appears she is also a plagiarist. Carroll's story is eerily similar to an episode of Law and Order from season 13, right down to the fantasy in a Bergdorf Goodman's dressing room. Let's go ahead and take a look at this clip from the Bradford file.
Public place.
Yes, there was one, a bit plain, and it was not her fantasy, it was mine.
Okay.
Yeah. Role play took place in the dressing room of Bergdorf's. While she was trying on lingerie, I would burst in.
Hold on. Yeah.
A fantasy ripped from the headlines of a Law & Order episode. Now ask yourself a question, friends. Does this sound a little too close to comfort? But this isn't the only thing that's come up about E. Jean Carroll. My friend and fellow researcher, Methods, also found something very, very eerie. Now take a look at this tweet right here from E. Jean Carroll. It's actually a clip from a Facebook message group that she was posting in. And it shows that she was not only a fan of Law & Order, but she was apparently a big fan of The Apprentice. And think about what that means. If you had been assaulted by someone, do you think that the first thing you'd want to do would become a massive fan of their popular NBC reality series in which you were heavily featured? You can see right here it says, I'm a massive fan of The Apprentice, and this is from 7 years ago, well after the alleged assault that took place. I think, just from my point of logic here, it sounds very, very odd that someone would have been assaulted by someone in a sexual manner and would then continue to follow their career to the point that you would watch their reality show on NBC. It just gets weirder and weirder. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you think that E. Jean Carroll would want to watch The Apprentice after she was assaulted by our now very famous president? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now next, a story, ironically, about a former contestant on The Apprentice. The Justice Department is suing Omarosa for ethics violations punishable by up to a fine of $50,000. The Justice Department on Tuesday sued Trump's former White House advisor, Omarosa Manigault-Newman, for failing to file required financial disclosures after she was fired from her job. The DOJ claims Omarosa was informed after she was fired in December of 2017 that she had to file a financial disclosure form, and reminded again in January through March of 2018. Notwithstanding the numerous attempts to obtain her compliance, Ms. Manigault-Newman has not filed her termination financial disclosure report, the lawsuit said. Omarosa may be fined up to $50,000 for violating the Ethics in Government Act, the lawsuit states. Trump has given Omarosa many opportunities in life, yet she stabbed him in the back and accused the president of using various racial slurs such as the N-word several times after she left the White House. Social media was set ablaze last summer after Omarosa released a secret recording of Chief of Staff John Kelly firing her. Last August, on Meet the Press, Omarosa released that secret recording, which was taken just before she was practically dragged out of the White House. Now, prior to that, Omarosa slammed Trump in her soon-to-be-released book entitled Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House. President Trump called Omarosa a lowlife last year in response to a reporter who asked him if he felt betrayed by the former White House aide. Now, President Trump is probably not the only person to feel that he's a little bit betrayed by Omarosa Omarosa. He showed her a lot of kindness. He gave her a job when he didn't need to. He actually did it in the face of a lot of people telling him that it was a bad idea. Now, maybe he did it so that she could be revealed as the scumbag she was. Perhaps it was to get her into a position so that they could do a background check on her and then get her for things she's done previously. I have a post right here from Crazy Days and Nights that I want to take you guys to next because I think it's very revealing. Now, right here, this is a blind item from September 10th of last year, and then it was revealed after that. It says, "You know, a death we don't talk about much is the death of this Academy Award-winning nominated B-list actor who was killed by his celebrity girlfriend. Oh, sure, she was not charged, but those close to him know she was poisoning him and gaslighting him to the point he had no idea what was going on, and made a will naming her as the sole beneficiary. Previously, his family members had been named. Our celebrity also took out millions of dollars of life insurance policies on him and raided his bank accounts. When she cleared out everything she could while he was living, she upped the dose of what she had been giving him and he died. Then she cashed in on everything and moved on to the next victim. And it was revealed to be Michael Clark Duncan and Omarosa." This is from NT Lawyer. Now, NT Lawyer has a pretty good track record of getting these scoops and then revealing the people that are behind them. So, is Omarosa a murderer? Is Omarosa the kind of person that could do this? Well, I think that she's definitely revealed herself to be a bit of a snake and a bit of a lowlife, just as the president said. Perhaps something has been done behind the scenes to get Omarosa to pay for the transgressions that she's committed. I can only say that I hope that's what's taking place. And finally, the FBI has moved to protect the former president, and a court has ruled the FBI can keep 302 interview notes with the former president from his Senate selling scandal secret. Judicial Watch has been working to get their hands on the 302 notes of the former president's FBI interview about the attempted sale of his Illinois Senate seat, and the FBI is fiercely fighting to keep those notes under wraps. Shortly after the former president won the 2008 presidential election, then Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich attempted to sell Obama's vacant Senate seat in exchange for political favors. Blagojevich reportedly approached Barry and other intermediaries about the plot. However, Barry declined to make a deal, according to media reports. And Blago eventually approached Representative Jesse Jackson Jr.'s supporters and offered the former president's Senate seat to him in exchange for $1.5 million in campaign donations, but broke off the deal when he found out the feds were wiretapping him. Now, Blago, as he's known, ended up taking the fall and landed in prison while that former president skated scrutiny as he entered his first term as U.S. president. Right here from Judicial Watch, over the course of 2 criminal trials in 2010 and 2011, Blagojevich was convicted of 18 separate offenses and in December 2011 was sentenced to 168 months in jail. In 2015, an appellate court overturned 5 of Blagojevich's convictions and affirmed the remainder. And then on August 12th of 2016, Blagojevich was resentenced to the same 68-month jail term he had previously received. Judicial Watch had asked the FBI to produce the 302s pursuant to FOIA in June 2011, and the FBI confirmed the record's existence in 2012, but they denied the request, asserting that the 302s were exempt from disclosure under FOIA Exemption 7A because Blagojevich's criminal case was still ongoing at the time. Judicial Watch filed suit to try to obtain the 302s in May 2016 after the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review Blagojevich's convictions. It closed that initial lawsuit while Blagojevich was being resentenced. Judicial Watch refiled its lawsuit after Blagojevich was resentenced. Now, as expected, the FBI on Tuesday moved to protect Barry Obama, and a court ruled the FBI notes from his interview about the attempt to sell his Senate should be kept secret. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton vowed to appeal again and keep fighting for these documents. He said FBI, DOJ going out of their way to protect Barry. Today, a court ruled FBI can keep interview notes of Obama from his Senate seat selling scandal secret. We will appeal again. The FBI interviewed Barry Obama about the selling of his Senate seat. The American people should finally get to see these FBI interview reports, said Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. The public has a right to know precisely how Obama and his senior White House advisors Emanuel and Jarrett responded to Blagojevich's corrupt attempts to sell his Senate seat. Obama's vacant Senate seat and White House seat were both manipulated by fixers and up for sale. Well, that's a strange coincidence, isn't it? Well, maybe not so strange when you've been following the playbook of the Democrats for as long as we have. Another disgusting display of depravity, and that's in keeping with Tom Fitton's wonderful use of alliteration. All right, folks, I think that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.